Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Yesterday we were talking about skip counting. We were skip counting by twos, fives, and tens. Tens, of course, we have known for a while. We've been doing that all year. Fives were a little challenging, and so were twos. But don't forget, there's always a pattern to it. If we count by twos, it's always going to be an even number. It's always going to end in a two, a four, a six, an eight, or actually a zero also. So when we reach a new 10, count by twos, it ends in a zero. And fives, it's always going to end in a five or a zero. Always, 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 always. Today, we are going to do skip counting with story problems, and we're going to use a chart to help us out. And we got to come up with some goofy stories. And you might be thinking, by looking at the screen, Mr. Montgomery, our paper doesn't look the same. It's okay, it's because I erased her. They gave me no drawing space, and I'm going to need drawing for our story problem. Okay, and for our silly story problem, we have four friends. We have one friend who is smiling, a friend who's frowning, another friend smiling, and then you have a friend who is sticking his tongue out. He's just being crazy. And each of these friends is going to have a pair of shoes. And I'm going to ask you real quick before I draw anything, how much is in one pair of shoes? What is the number that we're going to be working with? If you're not sure, look down at your feet. How many shoes are you wearing? Well, you're wearing two shoes, right? One on each feet. You have 2 feet. So you're wearing two shoes, and look, so are our friends. I made little shoes for them. They don't have bodies, but it's okay. They're just walking heads. That's fine. A little silly, but you'll get what I'm saying. So now we have a picture set up for our story problem. We need to find out how many shoes our friends are wearing in all. Okay, so how we're going to use this chart to help us is pretty easy. First, we number how many friends. Well, let's count. Ready? We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So when we use this chart, we're going to label each person as a number like this. 1, you have one person. You have person number 2. You have person number 3 and person number 4. And now so um, like we just did, the top part is the number of people. We put the people up top because that's where they said to put it, because they use the word people right there. And next, we have to put down our number of shoes because they're telling us that's what they want next. Shoes. And that word is right there. And so we're going to count, kind of like skip counting. That's what it's going to look like, okay? So, how many shoes do we have with just our first friend? We can look at a picture and count. We have 1, 2. So this number is 2 shoes for one person. If there's 2 people, how many shoes do we have? Well, we can look back at our picture. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 shoes. How many shoes would we have with just 3 friends? Well, we can look back at our picture. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So with 3 friends, we would have 6 shoes. How many shoes would we have with 4 friends? Well, we can look back at our picture and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'm sure you've all seen the pattern. I'm sure you've seen the pattern before that's on the screen and you're recognizing it. This is the same thing as skip counting by twos because we know that each person is wearing 2 shoes. And to check our work, we can skip count because we know what skip counting by twos looks like. And it looks just like this. So let's do that real quick and check our work. 2, 4, 6, 8. Cool. We just use this chart to figure out a story problem of how many shoes 4 friends are wearing all together. That wasn't too bad, right? That wasn't too bad at all. But what would we do if we had 5 friends? What would be the next number? Well, if we know our skip counting, we can predict what the next number is going to be. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8. If we have one more friend wearing 2 shoes, how many would we have altogether? We would have 10, right? And we skip count just to check. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yep, that's skip count by 2s. They are all even numbers because they have to be when we count by 2s. And let's go on to problem number 2 down here. All right, let's look at number 2 and see what they want us to look for. So it says number of gloves and number of fingers. Okay, so these are the 2 important words. First, we're looking at how many gloves, and then down here, we're looking at how many fingers in all the gloves all together. So if we have, let's say we have 5 friends wearing gloves, right? We have 5 friends, but they're only wearing 1 glove each. They're just being silly. So we're going to number our gloves. We have glove number 1, glove number 2, glove number 3, glove number 4, and glove number 5. We have 5 gloves. And how many fingers are on each glove? Well, look at your hand real quick. How many fingers do you have? You have 5, right? And that's exactly what I drew up here. I know maybe they kind of look like turkeys. They're not the best looking gloves, but they're gloves. And let's count how many fingers they have. So we have, well, let's use one down here. And I'm going to switch up the color so you can see. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 fingers on each glove. So now, for 1 glove, how many fingers do we have? Well, we just figured that out, right? For this 1 glove, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fingers. So we're going to write the number 5. But what about 2 gloves? How many fingers would we have altogether for just 2 gloves? Well, we can actually look up here and count off from 5, right? Because we counted this 1 glove. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So for 1 glove, we have 5 fingers. For 2 gloves, we have 10 fingers. For 3 gloves, what would we have? You might have picked up on the pattern already if you remember yesterday's lesson, but we're going to also double check. So with these 2 gloves, we did this one and this one. That's 10. We have 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So 3 gloves, we'd have 15 fingers. Okay? And for 4 gloves, how many would we have altogether? Well, let's check. So we did those 3. So starting from 15, right? Counting on, we have 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. See the pattern happening? So with 1 glove, we have 5 fingers. 2 gloves, we have 10 fingers. 3 gloves, we have 15 fingers. And 4 gloves, we have 20 fingers. If we wanted to check our work right now, what could we count by? We could count by 5s. Ready? So let's check. 5, 10, 15, 20. Yep, that's working. And what would 5 gloves be? How many fingers would they have altogether? They would have 25. We kind of saw that coming because we know how to count by fives, right? All right. So this is how we use our charts. We're going to use them a little bit more on the next page. So go ahead and open up to the inside. Okay, I'll give everyone a couple seconds to open up to the inside of your work mats. You should all be looking at number 1. And in a second, we're going to read it all together. All right. Guys should be opened up and ready. So let's read it. Each leaf has 2 ladybugs. There are 5 leaves. How many ladybugs are there in all? Now, if you need to, you can kind of draw a little picture, and I'll draw one too. Let me get a good color green for you guys. Okay, so 5 leaves. Okay, so I have my 5 leaves all drawn. And next we need how many ladybugs on each? Because we have our 5 leaves and we need some ladybugs. Let's go back and read, see how many go on each leaf. Each leaf has 2 ladybugs. And then they want to know how many in all. Okay, so I'm going to make some red dots on here. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 and 2, and there we go. Just 2 little red dots on each because there's only 2 ladybugs on each leaf. So let's look at what they want us to do. So the first row of our chart is just the leaves. So for 1 leaf, how many ladybugs are there? Well, we can look at the little picture I drew for you guys. There are 1, 2. 2 ladybugs. And I'll make sure I underline that down there for you. Second row is for ladybugs. Okay, only ladybugs on second row. But what about 2 leaves? How many ladybugs would we have altogether on 2 leaves? Well, we could have 4, right? Because we can also count the picture. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, go ahead and figure out how many ladybugs there would be on 3 leaves, and then 4 leaves, and 5 leaves. Okay, I'll give you guys a good minute. All right, that should have been enough time, I hope. Let's find out. So for 3 leaves, we would have, well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 ladybugs. For 4 leaves, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'd have 8 ladybugs. And for 5, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we can also check our work by skip counting, right? So, because there's only 2 on each leaf, so it would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Oh, and then we rare final answer. How many on 5 leaves? We would have 10 ladybugs. All right, everyone. Next, I would like for you all to do number 2. And I'll give you a good minute to do that, okay? Then we'll go over it together. All right, I hope that was enough time. If not, just kind of stop where you are and check your answers as you go along, as far as you got, okay? So, the word problem says each box has 5 pencils. There are 4 boxes. How many pencils are there in all? So, the important things are we have 5 pencils, and then we have 4 boxes that they're all in, right? So in each box, there are 5 pencils. So let's make that drawing real quick. So I have 4 boxes up top. I'm going to make sure I have 5 pencils in each. I'm just going to draw sticks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So, and we need to know how many pencils we have in all. So, how many boxes do we have? Well, box is going on the top row. Ooh. So, for one box, how many pencils do we have? Well, we know that we have 5 in each box. So, for one, we have 5. And what about if we have 2 boxes? How many pencils would we have altogether? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So for 2 boxes, we would have 10 pencils altogether. What about 3 boxes? How many pencils? Well, we know that it's 5 here and then 10 there. So we count on from 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And for 4 boxes, how many do we have? Well, count on from 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So we should have 20 pencils. And since the first number was 5 and it's 5 in each box, we're counting by 5s. So let's skip count by 5s to check our answers. Should be 5, 10, 15, 20. And how many do we have altogether? We're going to round this line over here. 20 pencils all together. All right. So everyone go ahead onto the next page, complete the packet. If you're confused, come see me. You can sit with me and our other friends on the carpet. If not, go on ahead. Do not help each other. Don't give each other answers, please. I need to see who can do this on their own. When you're all done, If you finish early, go grab a 100 chart puzzle from the back table. Okay? And I'll talk to you guys soon.